turnovers.
All right, let's start with the Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma State was so close. So close. Baylor wins 21-16. And all right, Desmond Jackson. Listen, I was on the field for Bedlam, and during warmups, I saw Desmond Jackson. I'm like, that's the best looking player they've got. The guy looks like a weight room warrior. Like he's jacked, Ted. And you got to run that safety over and go win the game. Now, give a ton of credit to Jaron McVay. Like, awesome play, effort play. Maybe got away with a little bit of a horse collar in midair, maybe. But you got to run that dude over, score, and win the game. Big, muscled up guy. Don't die for the pylon. Take his ass into the end zone. What was that?
Yeah, you make it easy for him whenever you flatten it out like that. That's what he wants you to do. And it's okay if you want to act like you're going wide, get him to flatten out, then stick your toe in the ground and run over him whenever he's going lateral. But yeah, you got to take that and just pour it downhill, one-on-one, run through a guy. That play right there is in your favor. It would be impressive for a safety to step up there one-on-one, giving up weight, and make that type of knockback tackle. But, man, it was close. Oh, it was so close. I mean, just an inch difference between Big 12 champs and, well, not bums, but not Big 12 champs. Like, this was your opportunity. Didn't have to go through OU.
Yep. And Baylor definitely called timeout before that play, right? And they didn't give him a penalty. We all saw that, right?
Yeah. What the heck is going on
What was that? How is that not a penalty? Like, if that would have happened to OU, we would be losing it. I mean, it's a penalty. Terrell Bernard is in the ref's face, and so is Doyle. Like, they're both calling timeout.
Yeah,
and they didn't have any timeouts.
Official stops the clock, whistles it dead. Baylor makes their adjustments, gets the right personnel out there, and they're like, oh, you don't have a timeout. Sorry, let's roll the clock. And here we go. But by that time, Baylor already got the advantage that they wanted. Oklahoma State's walking to the line of scrimmage, about to snap the football.
It was, I was sitting there going, you can't do that. But
right.
I guess that happens now. Also, really, really hard to win when you turn the ball over 4 times. It's kind of crazy that this game was as close as it was. And I think that tells you all you need to know about Oklahoma State's defense, especially they were lights out in the second half. But Ted, Spencer Sanders, he had almost convinced us he wasn't this guy, but he is who we thought he is. 4 interceptions, and 3 of them were bad. 1 really not his fault, but the 3, I mean, just critical, bad mistakes. It's like he took everything he had been doing for the last month and a half and said, you know what? I'm making plays today, baby. What was that?
I don't know. Biggest moment. 4 turnovers. Just can't do it, man. Championship games, you can't turn the ball over 4 times and expect to win. It was a tough day for him, bad day for him. And they were still almost able to overcome it, which is amazing. They had the special teams play late that they absolutely needed, had a couple of forced turnovers there themselves. So, man, just a brutal way to lose a game.
Yeah, I will give Blake Shapen the credit he deserves, right? In for Gary Bohannon, completed his first 17 passes of the game. He was as good as you could ever expect a backup to be, and thought he was solid, except for this game had a lot of fun things in it, Ted. The man Shapen threw it out of bounds, threw it away, threw it into the first row on 4th down. And a lot of people are like, why did Dave Aranda go for 4th down in that situation? He gave Oklahoma State momentum. Like, they've been doing that all season, right? They've gone for it on 4th down more than any other team in the Big 12. It's what they've been doing. And I didn't hate the play call either, but you have 3 options, Shapen. One of those 3 options is not to throw it into the stands on 4th down. It was so funny.
Yeah. Throw it over your head, punt it if you have to, do whatever you can. just don't waste the down away. It's like we saw the Tennessee game whenever the quarterback just stepped out of bounds with the ball in his hand on
Like
the
the
last play of the
8-yard line.
game. Yeah. You got to have a little, and it's easy whenever you're watching the game, from 100 feet or whatever away. It always seems easier than what it is whenever you're out there in the mix. But that's one that's got to be cooked in as a quarterback. You have to have some situational awareness.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. Now, Jalen Warren was healthy enough to stand on the sideline the entire game, but apparently not healthy enough to carry the football. But I'm not sure how big of a difference he would have made. Now, remember, Oklahoma State, they ran 17 plays inside the Baylor 10-yard line, and they only scored 1 touchdown. Maybe Warren punches some of those opportunities in. I don't know. But Baylor's defensive line absolutely got after Oklahoma State's O-line. Like, they controlled the entire game. So I'm not sure how much of a difference Warren would have made.
Maybe not any. I mean, that was the biggest problem area on Oklahoma State's football team is their offensive line, not be able to move people off the ball. Now, they ran the ball pretty well for most of the season, but just like the size, and they've been banged up there, being able to get like movement on the line of scrimmage. You could tell Baylor's defensive line is stout, anchored in there by the big guy at nose. So, man, had plenty of opportunities inside the 2 and couldn't punch it in. That's pretty telling.
Yeah. And last thing on this game, and maybe my favorite thing of the entire game, right? They weren't scoring down around the goal line. I swear, Ted, and I didn't go back and rewatch the game, and I should have before I said this. And maybe we have some Oklahoma State fans that listen to this, and maybe they'll tell me I'm an idiot on Twitter. But at one point, I'm pretty sure I saw Oklahoma State run Spider 2 Y banana. And I think the 2 options, right, in Spider 2 Y banana, there's a fullback in the flat and there's a tight end on a corner route. And I'm pretty sure that both options in the play were defensive linemen. I think it was Lacey and Evers. I'm pretty sure it was 89 and 98. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I watched because I couldn't get words out when I saw it. I was like, that's what you're going with in the situation. That's it. That's the play. It was now once again, I could have seen things incorrectly, but I don't think I did, and I was stunned.
Looks more like a fire on a bad snap on an extra point than it does an actual offensive play.
Fire. That I couldn't believe it. I hope
brutal.
Someone tell me if I'm right or wrong on that play. It was towards the end of the game. All right. College football playoff is set. Got to talk about it. We're getting Bama versus Cincy, Michigan versus Georgia. Actually, 2 games that I'm excited to watch. And
agree.
Alabama is the number 1 seed. Never doubt Nick Saban. Alabama heard everything we were saying, took it personally, came out and absolutely smacked Georgia 41-24 in the SEC championship game. And Saban said, it sounded like a psycho when he said it after the game. He said, the rat poison that you put out there this week was yummy. I was like, oh my God. It's just, but Georgia jumped out to the 10-0 lead, but their offense just got rolling in that second quarter and it never slowed down. Shifted some things around on the offensive line. Those guys undoubtedly played their best game of the year, did a really solid job protecting Bryce Young, did a good job in blitz pickup, and Bryce Young absolutely picked that team apart. And they just couldn't stay with them in the passing game, man. The guys on the back end of that defense got exposed, and they couldn't affect Bryce Young in the pocket.
Yeah, that pass rush looked like it got worn down, that front 7, and Alabama was able to move around. Bryce Young used his athleticism a couple of times. He looks so smooth in the pocket. Has just like a beautiful release too, pushing it downfield, challenging him downfield with the Williams kid and that great speed that he has. Like all of a sudden, Everyone was sleeping on Bama. Now they roll into it as the 1 seed, looking like the favorite. Good matchup for the semifinal. See what happens in the championship game, but give it up to Bama, man. It's about what you look like at the end. You got to peak at the right time, and they played their best football game in the SEC championship.
Yeah. And give Bill O'Brien some credit. Thought he called a really nice game offensively. Still can't believe Jameson Williams couldn't start at Ohio State. Just okay. I know they got players, but damn. Unfortunate John Mechie tore his ACL. That's a bummer, but they've got a lot of talent to kind of fill that void. All right, Michigan comes in at number 2 in the CFP rankings. And man, they look damn good.
Look really good.
I mean, they dominated Iowa in the Big Ten championship game, 42-3, their first Big Ten championship since 2004. And listen, them holding Iowa's offense to 3 points, it's not that surprising, right? They got players. The Ross kid at linebacker. We've talked a lot about Hutchinson and Najabo on the edge, but putting a 42-piece on that Iowa defense, I mean, that gets your attention. That's impressive. And the offensive line has continued to be the strength of that team, playing some good ball. Corum and Haskins, kind of a thunder and lightning thing going on at running back. And Caden McNamara is doing a good job managing the game, finding some tight ends that are weapons. Like they look balanced. They look good. Real good.
They did. McNamara has really impressed me. I started off the year just kind of eye roll. Here's another quarterback that Harbaugh's going to underwhelm us with, and he's been great, man. He's thrown some really nice balls down the stretch. Their offense, man, it's not difficult with Michigan. Just their whole team, not just offensively, win the line of scrimmage. That's the goal. And when they win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, they're going to be incredibly difficult to beat. Really good offensive line, really good defensive line, and capable players mixed in. They're legit, man. They really are. 2 really nice wins here at the end of the year.
Georgia comes in at number 3 and clearly got outcoached, got outplayed by Bama. But really the question for me is, can they rebound from what happened? Because like this was supposed to be the year. And you got to wonder how this affects them psychologically. And you look at it, I don't know if a quarterback change would make sense. I actually thought Stetson Bennett was fine. I know he had the interceptions, including the pick 6, but like I didn't think that was Georgia's big issue. The big issue was the defense let them down, right? They got picked apart by Bama's offense. So does making a move to JT Daniels help you? I don't know. I don't think so. But listen, I think they still have what it takes to win a title. And maybe this is a wake-up call, but that was underwhelming. And there was some miscommunication in the back end of their defense. Seems like they got mixed up in some of their zone match stuff that they'd been so good at, Ted. I don't know, but that was an underwhelming performance from the Dogs.
It was. All of a sudden it gets a little more difficult on the back end whenever your pass rush isn't getting home in like 1 second every single time. Man, this game's going to be fascinating. Strength on strength. It's going to be an absolute battle at the line of scrimmage when both teams have the football. I favor Georgia, but don't sleep on Michigan, man. They're playing really good ball right now. They're peaking at the right time. Georgia's licking their wounds, and they've given something up on film that Michigan's going to be able to look at and maybe try and exploit.
And the thing about that game, and we'll preview this down the line, but Michigan has 2 guys that they can just rush for, and they can both win one-on-one.
Yep.
Right. Georgia, I know they got a bunch of players along the defensive line, but man, Bama just kind of locked them up. So we'll see.
Michigan's offensive line, would you rate them higher than Bama's?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be a good matchup, man.
Bama's O-line did. Hey, I'll say they balled out.
Well, yeah.
They balled out. Okay, in Cincinnati, they did it, Ted. The Bearcats are in. Finally, a group of 5 team is in. And in the AAC championship game. First half, close, a little back and forth with Houston, end up taking over things there in the second half, win 35-20. And some will say they got a little help from the refs on that questionable pass interference call, but it'd be like that sometimes. They needed help to get in, right? And Bama gave them the help they needed. Who knows if Oklahoma State would have been able to get in? I don't know, but they're in. They're in, and they get Alabama. Oh boy.
Yeah, congratulations. Welcome to the playoff. Here's the team playing the best football in the country right now. Yeah, they look good, dude. They put 3 touchdowns up in an instant there at one point in that football game and blew that thing open. But I think Cincinnati deserves to be there. I think they're a good total football team, really good running game, solid quarterback that's also an athlete, dual threat guy. Defensively good at all 3 levels, good pass rush, good edge guys, really strong on the back end. It's just an all around really good football team with no real weakness. We'll see what their talent looks like against the best of the best, but I expect them to hang in there. I don't expect a bloodbath against Alabama. I favor Alabama, but I don't think that Cincinnati's going to look like they don't belong.
Right. And Baylor will always wonder, right? If they wouldn't have been Chandler Morris, if they would have gotten in or not.
Yeah, if that DB just intercepts that ball in the end zone late.
That's all they needed.